your brain has been trying to tell you all along if you weren't burdened with ideas of Garrison Keillor and a nude beach and all the rest. Terrible, this nonsense. Thank you.
K-Rob, can you play the music the right way, please? Alright. Okay. If you were stranded on an island and could only have one book of your choosing, what would it be? What book? The one book of the island.
I have a side note.
A side note?
The side note suggests that the book brought to the tropical island be not the Bible or Shakespeare, but instead the second book of the SubGenius religious series, Revelation X, the Bob Apocryphon. Boy, I endorse that sentiment. Not enough people have read this book. They all say, oh, I've read the book. And it turns out they've read the first book, a child's primer, compared to Revelation X and its dark revelations. Yes, that could entertain you for a while. Like any nutty Jehovah's Witnesses book. Those things have great illustrations in them. You know, Revelation X was actually based on that sort of literature. So, an alternate opposing view from the Brazilian astronaut, Revelation X, the Bob Apocryphon, still in print. If you buy enough of them, I might get a royalty check. Okay, now a reality check. A sad but unassailable fact.
Okay, I've got a dumb question here.
A dumb question?
I was going to turn the stupid light on, but I actually forgot to turn it off. It's from Reverend Chip. What is the square root of the Talmud? Square root there.
What multiplied by itself would produce the Talmud and the entire font of Talmudic wisdom? That would be the Sephiroth. Sonny?
Okay. This is an interesting a conundrum that we have here.
Alright, let's have an interesting one.
I think after this one we're going to have a little
yes,
monster clip.
A-Rob's monstrous film, so horrible. You won't believe. It's called Monster Snake Coffee Break.
Okay, this is a $5 question.
Alright, good.
And the question is this hell? Is this hell?
Well, you know, Satan was confined to hell, as I said at the beginning of the program. So later on, when Mephistopheles, a variant of Satan, was walking around with Faustus, a learned man, meant to summon the devil, he said, "Say, how come you're here anyway? I thought you guys were confined to hell." Does anyone here remember what Mephistopheles said in answer?
What did he say?
He said, "Why, this is hell, nor am I out of it." Yes, if you're of a hellish disposition, as it were, hell is wherever you are. Or as Milton's Satan said, the mind itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. What matter where, if I be still the same, and whom I should be all but worse than he who thundereth made greater. Yep. So there you go.
Are we ready for the monster clip?
It is time
to make fun of Santana and to insult.
That is its primary function, yes. So what is the question?
The question is, what will the end of the world look like?
The end of the world. All right, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the end of the world has been described by many prophets. There's an entire book of the New Testament about it. But one might ask if the world does have an end. An end in duration, but not an end in extent, since we are on a sphere here. And the end then is where you start again after you travel the entire distance circumnavigating it on the surface. But the end itself will not look like much of anything. It will be the cessation of everything that we now experience, the entire load of sensory experience and all the sensation of our nerves, our memory and experience will cease.
Whoa,
Nothing
that's not
of
real.
creeping, nothing but a black wall. And
Okay.
to illustrate that, these words from the poet Archibald MacLeish. Quite unexpectedly, as Vassereau, the armless ambidextrian, was lighting a match between his great and second toe, and Ralph, the lion, was engaged in biting the neck of Madame Sauceman, while the drum pointed and Teeny was about to cough in waltz time, swinging Jocko by the thumb, quite unexpectedly, the top blew off, and there overhead, there arched over those thousands of hushed faces, those dazed eyes, there amid the starless dark, the poise, the hover, there spreading vast wings across the cancelled skies, quite unexpectedly stood out the black pall of nothing, 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 nothing at all. And thank you for your question.
Jamie wants to know, what do you know that I don't know? That's a weird question. We've never had that question before.
In order to protect myself, there might be almost anything which I could claim to know that you didn't know, which then would turn out that you did know. So it would turn out then that I had not known what you knew that I did not know. And this I refuse to do. Instead, I'll tell you quite truthfully that what you don't know is how I planned to answer your question.
Exactly.
After all, I myself did not know, so I hardly see how you could have known.
See, I know that you think that you know what I said, but what you don't understand is that what I said is not what I meant.
Ontology, it's a mare's nest.
Okay, moving right along. I'm gonna ask you the questions.
Alright.
You're gonna tell us a story with a beginning and a middle and an end that are going to be relevant to these questions somehow. Are you ready?
It all sounds arbitrary and unnecessary.
It is totally unnecessary. This show is absolutely not necessary.
Well, when you put it
K-Rob,
that
can
way.
we have some brand new music?
Some storytelling music? I don't know if even K-Rob has
Yes, he
that.
does. He was playing the Gong Show theme right there.
I know.
Fucking
Was anyone here for our version of the Gong Show years ago?
No one's that old.
Yes.
Yes, there's someone over there who does remember.
Here we go. The first thing that's going to happen is that Stephanos, who came to my show to talk over it, is going to respect for just 2 minutes. We're going to try something brand new, and we're going to do it for your mother. This is dedicated to Stephanos' mother. So if it sucks, it'll be like, well, you know, that's the way it goes. Okay, here we go. Dr. Hal, set the stage for the story.
But I haven't heard any of the question.
I thought that would be the miracle of it.
All right,
Set the
okay.
stage, and then we would...
Yes, very well.
Okay, here we go. It's going to be really good. Once upon a time, right?
Well, naturally, it had to take place during time,
Yes, in time.
being an expression of duration, and the events about to be set forth were events which took the time one might expect them to take. There was a peaceable kingdom and a happy valley where fruit trees grew and water from clear brooks sang through watercourses which went by the homes of the lowly and the great.
How can I remember to take my medicine?
Each day, the call of the woodland creatures and the cry of the cuckoo under the canopy of the forest would be as good for those humble, horny-handed sons of the soil who grew up in that valley as any elaborate timepiece worn by an effete handkerchief-sniffing nobleman. These good people knew the time of day as far as they needed to, simply by virtue of their own existence.
Why is it okay to pass business classes by hiring smart people to do your classwork?
But there was a group of people in the kingdom, the scribes, who had unfairly set their hearts, those black, shriveled, coal-like lumps, on securing the advantages, that were originally open to all in Happy Valley. They thought that by jiggery-pokery and by twisting the law to their own advantage, they could, with the entire agreement of the polity and the kingdom, walk away with everything good that wasn't nailed down.
If you had to choose just one, what would it be?
And this was the choice they had. Whether to align themselves with the forces of lucre, with the false gold of Moloch and Mammon, or the true gold which is seen in the apple at its period of ripeness, and in the joy and eternal promise of the sunrise. Which would it be?
What would giraffes look like if their legs bent the other way?
To distract the populace from their chicanery, evil, and mendacity, the malefactors and malfeasors of Happy Valley created freakish amusements and shows to distract the population from the proper consideration of their position. For this is the sad fact of human existence, that one thirsts in an unseemly, untimely way for marvels, and would care to see if fruit trees gave forth lizards and toads instead of life-giving peaches and what have you. And so it was when, in viewing the spectacle of mutant animals whose limbs bent in an obverse direction, they didn't realize that from a different direction still, the direction behind them, their pockets were being picked, and it was entirely legal.
What kind of bullshit will they try to sell us in the future?
Now jump forward from the time of Happy Valley to a future recognizable as our present, and we find that once again this particular class has managed to take everything that was not nailed down and own it legally and on paper, while the rest of us find that the crumbs remaining are not sufficient to our purposes. This is a picture of our future, their past, and perhaps an unfortunate template of human development.
If corporations are people, why can't they marry?
The fiction was put forth that these groups of affiliated sorts who worked in connection with each other were, in a sense, entities, just like those others, struggling to put bread in their mouths and drink in their bellies. But in fact, they, being unliving, required neither wine nor bread, and only accumulated power, power upon power, to grind the least of us down and to exalt unfairly the others to the height of the Most High.
Isn't this nice?
So, as we are anesthetized and all that is precious drawn from us by an almost elegant surgical procedure, we feel a vague bovine contentment. Even as this is done to us, we muse, isn't this nice?
I'm at the crossroads. Do I take the deal? And if not, what if I give you half?
If it is possible, and if you have not already irrevocably signed on the bottom line, there's a botulous expression for you, for God's sake, don't make the deal. The end.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our attempt at doing something new.